What is so scary about this? The Democrats, they do not want to see this again. Sometimes I fear they'll rather burn the country down than let Donald Trump become president again. They are out to destroy him. I think a big reason why they want to destroy him is a message to any outsider who would ever dare try to fix the system. Don't do it, or we'll come for you. So, you know about the latest decision, a crazy lawsuit. Donald Trump has to pay, well, I think it's all going to be turned over on appeal, $364 million, a 3-year ban from doing business here in New York. Judge Engoron, who is a very bizarre, eccentric fellow, came up with this. I am not a lawyer. However, I am going through this, and I'm just using common sense, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No, I'm going to have to read through this all weekend long, but here's my cursory read so far. There are major deal breakers that this case falls apart. Number one, it is undisputed that defendants have made all required payments on time. So Donald Trump and his company, they got a lot of loans. They paid them back with interest. What is the problem? Well, we see problems in his loan application. No one's complaining except politically motivated attorneys general and a judge. New York means business in combating business fraud. Wow, what a tough guy. The judge seems to think he's pretty special. Are judges supposed to look at things like this? I don't know. Later in the opinion, it says, witnesses testified from the witness stand, approximately a yard from the court, in other words, from his seat, who was thus able to observe expressions, demeanor, and body language. Aren't you really just supposed to listen? All right. There is an accounting firm that Donald Trump did business with for decades called Mazars. And what they started to do was, well, the authorities started to freak out the accountants who worked there. You don't want to work with Donald Trump, do you? So they brought this guy downtown, Donald Bender, an accountant who worked at Mazars, an accounting firm for approximately 41 years. A good 10 years of that, Bender spent approximately half of his time working on engagements for Trump and the Trump Organization. Now look at this. Bender stated that it was not until he was interviewed by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in the spring of 2021 that he learned that the Trump Organization had withheld appraisals from Mazars. Everything's going fine. Mazars is not complaining. They bring this guy basically to the cops. And they say, do you know this about Donald Trump? It's going to freak anybody else. And what did Mazars do? Mazars subsequently terminated its relationship with the Trump Organization. This is the government going into places that it should not be going. And we've been seeing a lot of that, right? Here is Letitia James, the Attorney General. It was her assignment to get this case going here in New York. Before we see what kind of person she is, well, let's see what kind of person she is. This is what she does on her weekends. Hang around with drag queens telling stories to children. Yeah, she's a big proponent of that. Tells you where she's coming from. All right, she's pretty thrilled with today's result.
Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank about how much money they have in order to get a mortgage to buy a home, or a loan to keep their business afloat, or to send their child to college. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them.
Yikes. You know, that's what they're thinking about, right? The government wants to be involved in transactions all the way down to $500. Everybody puts their best foot forward on a loan application. Regular people buying a house and even billionaires. Next.
This decision is a massive victory for every American who believes in that simple but fundamental pillar of our democracy, that the rule of law applies to all of us, equally, fairly, and justly. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to believe that, but they are demonstrating how it is not being applied fairly. No one believes that Donald Trump would be going through this if he wasn't running for president and if he wasn't Donald Trump. This character also, I don't think she applies the rule of law fairly based on race. She seems to have a problem with white men.
Stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too
Oh boy, too male, too pale, too stale. See how it rhymes? And you see the older white male gentleman just going along and repeating like a parrot. That's conformity or else. No, they are selectively applying the law and also, well, just politics. Look at Joe Biden with a woman he just met, right? That's a pretty creepy guy. You don't do that. That is outlandish, creepy behavior. Now look at Andrew Cuomo. Is this outlandish or creepy? Of course not. Andrew Cuomo, though, was feeling his oats back in, I think it was 2019, 2020, and thought about running for president against Joe Biden. Yeah, going against him as a Democrat. Well, I believe the Joe Biden administration unleashed that attorney general on him. They had to get him on something, so they got him on women issues.
These 11 women were in a hostile and toxic work environment, and that we should believe women, and that what we have an obligation and a duty to do is to protect women in their workplace.
All right, so here's one of the women that she protected. You want to see? I think this is classic, right? This is the Me Too movement gone too far, and I'm telling you, you gotta defend your political enemies as well as your friends, okay? This is an example, according to Attorney General Letitia James in her official report on Andrew Cuomo, the one that drove him from office. You're about to see an example of sexual harassment.
There should be no reluctance. This is Dr. Elizabeth Dufort, who is in the appropriate PPE wear. Nice to see you, doctor. You make that gown look good.
Head up a little bit.
Head up.
Anyway, that was the line right there. You make that gown look good. She gave him a COVID test. You make that gown look good. She felt objectified, according to the report. This is the new world we live in. And Democrats, people who know nothing about the world or want to use the world to achieve their aim at power, twisting things like real estate. Watch.
They received a series of bank-ordered appraisals for the commercial property at 40 Wall Street in New York City that calculated the value of the property at $200 million as of August 2010 and $220 million as of November 2012. Yet, in his 2011 statement, Mr. Trump listed 40 Wall Street with a value of $524 million, which increased to $530 million over the next 2 years.
Because that's what the building was worth. Look, real estate is an art, not a science. I actually live in the neighborhood of this building, 40 Wall Street, and when she said it was worth only, what was her estimate again? She said $200-something million. Yeah, I knew that was wrong. I was living there back at the time, and it's one of the things I notice in the business pages, how much buildings are worth. And back in 2007, 2008, yeah, 2011, buildings were worth something like this, especially an iconic building like 40 Wall Street. Let's do the comps, okay? This is a building in 2007, 666 Fifth Avenue, almost $2 billion. There are many examples like this. 2011, $750 million. These things plus or minus a lot sometimes. Look, the government is going into places it should not be going, but that's what the government does lately, right? How about Dr. Rachel Levine? Talk about a government getting involved in things it should not be doing.
Hello, I'm Admiral Rachel Levine. This Black History Month, I'm pleased to partner with OMH in advancing better health through better understanding for Black communities. Climate change is having a disproportionate effect on the physical and mental health of Black communities. Black Americans are more likely than white Americans to live in areas and housing.
You see what I mean?
Their susceptibility.
This is not what we need government for. Government should not be doing this stuff. Not this silliness and not second-guessing private real estate transactions. But they're loving it. The media is loving it.
You have another judge that say, yes, you sexually harassed a woman, and he's facing a trial at the end of next month. Imagine picking a jury when everybody just heard he owes hundreds of millions of dollars and he's a fraud.
Yes, that is Al Sharpton weighing in on Donald Trump's problems. Al Sharpton, you got to take a look at the taxes of the National Action Network. This guy, talk about shady. How can he sit at that table on a news show after, well, stuff like this throughout his career, whatever that is?
I believe in offering the pig. Well, they got pigs out here. You ain't off one of them. What I believe in, I do. Do what you believe in. Right. Or shut up and admit you've lost your courage and your guts to stand up.
Have courage to kill cops or go home. How about this guy? He can show his face in public. The man who engineered the Tawana Brawley hoax. Remember that? Not everybody does. I do. I'll never let him forget it. Hey, when Al Sharpton was on that news show, you know who was anchoring it? A woman named Alicia Menendez. Now, I'm sure she's perfectly nice and hasn't done anything wrong, but it does remind me that her father is Senator Robert Menendez, Democrat of New Jersey, currently under his second indictment. You know, the guy they found the gold bars in the house? Hey, it's just an allegation at this point. Here's the interesting part, though. He's still a United States Senator. He's able to give speeches on the floor. He's able to walk around and be a lawmaker. Yeah, federal indictment. And George Santos, remember that guy? I mean, as soon as he got to Congress, they were all over him for lying about being on the volleyball team. And Republicans ran him out of Congress. They expelled him. It was the most bizarre thing. It was unnecessary, and now Republicans are paying the price. There is something really rotten in the world, isn't there? Nothing is making sense. However, I just got a big clue about something. We'll have it next.